Hey bitches, it's me, Adore Femme. Have you ever wanted to be deep inside of me? Well, today's your chance. Today, I will be interviewing someone very special, my dear friend Autumn. Autumn is a wonderful person that I've met through our mutual friend, and Autumn is a woman who is 31 years old. She lives with a disability in real life, but she has a very significant and empowering story to tell about her journey within Second Life and real life, of course. We will be discussing how her disability affects her and her outlook on life, including her spirituality.
My name is Autumn, and I have been in Second Life for almost 12 years. I am 31, and I live in the United States. And I have a rare genetic condition that I live with every day.
I am really excited about today's interview. Actually, Autumn, I hope you feel the same. Are you nervous at all?
Oh, absolutely. I've never done an interview before, so
No, you'll do fine.
this is exciting.
Let's first things first discuss how you came to be on Second Life. Is there a story tied to how you came to join Second Life and what kind of kept you in Second Life?
Yeah, I've been in Second Life almost 12 years now. I actually joined through a college class that I was in. I took computer mediated communications, and one of our very last projects was to try Second Life for a couple weeks. And then we had to meet up in World at one of the university sims and kind of discuss what we found. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that has stuck around because I just fell in love with the freedom that Second Life offers and the creativity. So it has been a very liberating experience for me. Getting to create my avatar, to be who I can't in real life, to do things like walking okay, no one can fly, but that's still very fun. Getting to visit sims that are based on real life places.
Like I've heard stories of people joining Second Life or being introduced to SL like through like college or something. Mostly in the US. Like so I always think that's kind of funny and interesting, but that's a pretty cute story. You know, we all have our reasons for joining Second Life. I've discussed my own to death, but I think it's incredibly sweet how you have managed to utilize this platform for something inherently positive, essentially, for yourself and others, as we'll get into. Autumn is the owner of Disability Mystics Nexus. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about what DMN for short is?
So Disability Mystic Nexus is a place where disability and spirituality intersect, because I know there are people like me who cannot openly practice in real life. I know there are able-bodied people who cannot practice in real life for various reasons, whether it's their own safety with the people they live with, or just varying circumstances. I wanted to create a place that people can form connections and help each other as they explore their own spiritual journey and how they can use Second Life or any digital application to practice, because there isn't just one way to do something.
You've been extremely vocal about the fact that you live with a disability in real life. Could you educate the viewers watching on what that is, what's it called, and how it impacts you in your real life?
It's a mucopolysaccharidosis disorder. Essentially, my cells do not recycle like they should be because they're missing an enzyme or don't make enough of it. And all the garbage gets stored in my cells, causing damage to different organ systems. It affects pretty much all of my body. I am short. I have cardiology issues. I have respiratory issues, vision impaired, hearing impaired, every system of my body except for my brain is affected. When I was younger, I was a lot more mobile, but over time, I got tired easier, and I use a wheelchair when I'm out of the house. I use glasses. I have hearing aids. I am under 4 feet tall. I don't know the exact conversion that would be for metric, but I'm very short and often mistaken for being younger. There still is no cure. It's an orphan disease, I think is what the category is, but it's very rare.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Autumn. I cannot imagine that it's easy to essentially be so vocal and public about, what struggles, health-related struggles one may go through. But I think that what you do is incredibly important because, of course, in our society, sometimes health, mental health, physical health, all of these things are treated like a taboo when it shouldn't be. And there's nothing wrong with the person that may struggle or face a certain health issue or disability. So I personally do commend you for, being vocal and kind of dedicating your life to educating people. I think that's incredibly important. So
Thank you.
in terms of, you being a disabled woman, you have gotten on Second Life, and aside from just, having fun and maybe being able to do some things that you may not otherwise be able to do in person, you have decided to, as I said, educate people and to provide a safe space for others. So I have actually attended one of your events, with our mutual friend.
It was a really great turnout. I
Yeah.
was very pleased.
We all attended the Disability Nexus event, like one of them essentially. And I remember, for one, I love how the place is decorated. I'm sorry, but I have to commend you on it. It's very adorable. I
Me
love
too.
it. And I remember it was a bunch of people, sitting on the chairs and the sofas, and you were asking them questions through text. People were able to voice if they wanted to, but if they were not able to or comfortable doing so, they were able to text. And you were asking them a few questions, such as about their New Year's resolution, what spirituality means to them, stuff like that. And I remember, just reading all these stories, and really, honestly, being in awe of the tenacity that your people, essentially, this community that you've built, truly have. It really made me put things into perspective because I feel like all of us, regardless if you're able-bodied or not, maybe take certain things for granted when you're not truly like aware or thinking about like what someone else may go through. It was a great event. I know that you like to host them from time to time. I know that you also have movie nights and stuff like that, so it's not always about, hard-hitting topics. You like to have fun as well.
Yes, because I don't want to keep things too serious all the time.
Of course, yeah. So you've talked a little bit about your, religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, stuff like that. I know from personal experience with you that you're very into tarot and things of that nature. Now, my question to you is, Autumn, you've been open about your health struggles and how they've shaped your life. Looking back, how do you feel your condition has influenced your relationship with spirituality and magic?
So I think that my dad actually played a bigger role, more so than my disability. Of course, that was obviously another factor. But he told me a lot of Norse mythology stories, like with Loki stealing Thor's hammer and Freya's cloak that she can fly as a falcon. And I fell in love with Freya and her chariot that's pulled by cats. But that was when I was a young child. And as I got older, people would say something about God only gives his soldiers, or the toughest battles, to his toughest soldiers. And that always struck me as insulting when I know they were trying to be well-meaning. Because I never for 1 second believed that a higher power would make someone go through so much suffering, and it didn't click for me. I read Irish mythology when I was probably about 12, and one of the stories actually made me very fearful of death, and I had a little bit of a existential crisis, if you will. But then in the hospital, I had a near-death experience. I thought I was dying, but I was at peace. And whatever fear I had was soothed or comforted. Not that I wasn't still afraid to die, but in that moment, I was okay. And afterward, I didn't know what I believed, but I knew there was something, and I just kept exploring and finding my path after I joined Second Life. Talking with other practitioners is really where things started to come together. Seeing what I could do. Reading tarot is definitely something I enjoy, but it's more the connections, I guess, that I made, the friendships, and the collaboration.
So, what are some misconceptions people have about you, or, you know, anything like that that really, like, annoys you and that you want people to stop thinking, essentially?
And I don't want the same things that any other 31-year-old woman wants. I think the biggest misconception that people have about me is that I am this sweet, innocent person. Not that I'm not sweet, don't get me wrong, but I am with the right people that make me feel safe and comfortable. I'm sassy, I'm feisty, I'm sexy. And I don't want to have to hide that. Second Life gives me the freedom to be more myself than I can be in real life. And as far as the disability, I actually did not used to be as vocal about it. When I first joined Second Life, I didn't tell people until I got to know them very well.
I definitely think there's a larger conversation to be had about people infantilizing people with disabilities and such. I've definitely seen it happen where for some people, for some reason, people kind of project this sort of like idea onto someone with a disability or someone that looks younger or someone that lives with dwarfism, things like that. When in reality, people forget that you're talking to a 30-something-year-old woman. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I can definitely imagine how like, agitating that could be. People
And I
treating
still
you like
live
a
with my
child.
parents, which does not help the situation.
Girl, like times are rough though. Like,
They
like
are.
they like you know we don't live in like I don't know the fucking 1930s where you can buy a house with like
Mhm.
for like $5 basically. I'm exaggerating, but still.
Mhm.
So you've briefly touched on the topic of death. With everything you've been through health-wise, do you feel like your experiences has given you an otherworldly perspective on life, death, and everything in between?
I do think my relationship with death is a lot more complicated than the average person. This is a big thing for me. I was actually not expected to live beyond 16 years when I was first diagnosed.
And you're like what, 31 now?
Yes. Granted, there is treatment now. When I was diagnosed, there wasn't any treatment at all. So my medication has definitely increased the quality and the quantity of my life, but it's always in the back of my mind that I could die any day now because it's an unknown territory path. We don't know how long I will live with this treatment, and I've had very traumatic experiences in the hospital where I thought I was going to die, but then I didn't, and that always leaves a mark, whether it's physical or not. It doesn't go away, and at night I do spend time thinking about that. I'm very grateful every day I do wake up, even though it is a struggle. Some days are harder than others, but to be able to socialize with my friends online, do things with my family, my pets. I love watching my cats play, even as they're crawling over my keyboards. The little things in life get overlooked so much, and I think that is probably the biggest influence.
I feel like it should be clear to anyone that meets you or anyone that is watching that you're not your disability. It's simply a part of your life.
Exactly.
instead of just pestering you with questions about your disability, I want to kind of slightly scratch the surface of who you are as a person outside of all that. Tell us a little bit about who Autumn is on the inside. Let's talk about, for example, your fashion. What inspires you artistically? What is kind of the story behind the way that you dress on Second Life?
Goodness, I've had so many evolutions. And I think that is
Same.
a key. I'm not afraid to try something new, but I also really like classic traditional chic. Maybe not exactly Chanel, but I like classic designs, classic cuts. But I also really like dressing sexy because I cannot wear 6-inch heels in real life. So I have started to get clothing in real life that is more in tune with who I feel I am. So some boots that I have, they look a little bit like combat boots, but they go above the ankle. Could put some charms on the back. They're fun and not something I used to wear. But witchy things, moons. I just recently got a hat. It's not exactly a witch hat, but it's sort of a nod to it.
I love that. Yeah, no, when I met you, I definitely noticed that you have like this, cutesy kind of more kawaii, like witchy vibe, which is also like noticeable within your decor at the
Mhm,
Nexus. I think it
mhm.
suits you very well. I think that, we all obviously tell a story, or try to at least, with our fashion. I think fashion is a lot deeper than people think it is. And we kind of
Absolutely
tell an
agree.
external story of what's going on the inside. I think that your witchy eleganza, let's call it, is, I think a lot of people can relate to it. I mean, I definitely noticed that even in recent years, more and more and more people are open about practicing witchcraft or spirituality or stuff like that. And I think that it also has a lot of misconceptions about it on its own, which will be a separate video, because people have a very specific idea of what all of that means. But
Absolutely.
yeah, but no, I think it's really cool that you're kind of like unapologetically yourself. Let's move on to like what kind of music are you into? Like who's your like if you had to pick one favorite like singer, like who would it be? Or band, who would it be?
That is the hardest question ever. But if I have to pick anyone, it's gonna be David Bowie.
Oh, okay, I see you. That's a vibe. I did
And
I did not expect that. Okay. I thought I expected you to be like Stevie Nicks or like something like I don't know, like Lana Del Rey. I don't know.
I mean, I do love both of them. I do,
Yeah.
really, truly. But David Bowie has been along for the ride for me through so many difficult times. And okay, like confession, but not confession because everyone that knows me knows this. I had my first crush on him when I saw him as Jareth the Goblin King in the 1986 Labyrinth movie.
Let's talk relationships. I'm interested, like, are you in a relationship? Do you want to be in a relationship? What do you kind of look for in a man or a woman, whatever it is you're into?
So I am in a couple relationships currently, and that has evolved over time as well. Because when I first joined Second Life, I had never had any expectations of having a relationship anywhere with anyone. Needless to say, I quickly learned a lot once getting involved with some people in Second Life. My first relationship lasted 2 years with a guy in Canada, and it was online only, but too many blurred lines. I just have to say, boundaries are important. Know what you need to stay safe. But my current relationships, I never thought I would be poly, to be honest. But with the way that my life is currently, the way I am mentally and emotionally, I'm getting the love and support from two very wonderful people. It's not every day that I talk to them, but their presence is so very present and felt. If you think about movies that show a disabled person who ends up in a relationship, it's always a man. So for me as a woman, that is very hard to see. Because while, yes, it is good that they are able to have a relationship, I've never seen a woman in a movie or a show being a successful woman and having a relationship with anyone. Now, I admit I haven't seen every show or movie out there, but there is a lack of representation.
Yeah.
And I think that plays a big part in why I don't feel that I will have a real life or a fully real life relationship, even though I would love one. Absolutely. The men that I am in a relationship with are wonderful people, would 100% want to be with them in person, but circumstances.
So, thank you very much, Autumn, for coming to Deeper, where you can be deep inside of me, Adore Femme. I hope you've enjoyed that experience.
Thank you for having me.
For those of you that are watching, I will be leaving the Disability Nexus landmark in the description. In addition, if you are able to donate to Autumn's cause for disabled people within Second Life and those that are also more inclined towards spirituality, I am more than confident that she would appreciate it. Upon visiting the Disability Nexus, you will notice some tip jars where you can make your donation towards the sim and other expenses relating to Autumn's cause within Second Life. And you can also support it by simply supporting Autumn as a person and visiting the sim, and maybe, participating in one of their events that they have, pretty regularly, I would say. So, once again, thank you so much for coming. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I hope that the viewers have also learned a lot about you and what it means to, live with a disability, especially within Second Life and real life. And I am your host, Adore Femme, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, bitches.